And good morning and welcome to the Therealmonicaadams show. It is 7 o'clock and I hope you had a fabulous weekend. I'm telling you what, it's so nice to have finally dropped that oppressive heat that we had going on. Low 70s this morning, a beautiful morning start. It was an easy drive in. I hope you're safe if you're getting ready to head out. And remember, you can take us with you. Don't leave us when you head out on the road. You don't have to watch the show. You can listen to the show. A lot of people are taking and just connecting it through their car so that they can listen to that message and start off in a positive mindset as they head into work or dropping the kids off in school. More and more kids going back today, so watch for the school buses, watch for the kids crossing. Again, trying to keep your kids safe. I did, again, want to run down a few things that happened this past weekend just to catch you up if you didn't get a chance to see these things. Maybe if you do watch the news, just capture the things that are most important in your life and then leave the rest of the negativity behind. Did you see that Bob Barker passed away? 99 years old. Now, he had a connection to Missouri. Springfield, Missouri, actually went to school. He eloped in St. Louis, and I heard that he wanted to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. In fact, he wanted to be a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, and Whitey Herzog said, no thanks. So Bob Barker, rest in heaven. The Price is Right. You're the next contestant to walk through the golden, beautiful gates to heaven. Bob Barker, 99. Rest in peace, sir. Speaking of resting in peace, today is Rainbow Bridge Remembrance Day. All of our pets, we are remembering those that we have lost. So I'm going to go back to our very first pet, Rusty. Rusty passed away, was only 3 years old, and I know that just tore my brother apart. That was he said that was his dog. And then we had Cookie, and of course my brother Craig says that was his. So my first dog I claimed was Aussie, and we had Aussie actually when I moved into my house in Afton. Aussie and then Cookie were together, and then when she passed away, I got Kira. Kira was my first Shiba Inu, and that was probably one of the hardest on me because that was my first baby. So Aussie I had taken from the family, and so just kind of inherited her. But Kira was my first, and then we had Cosmo, and Cosmo unfortunately was hit by a car at only just over a year, and that was just the most heartbreaking thing. They really do become like our babies, and since I didn't get blessed with children, these are my fur babies. So yeah, Cosmo, and then we had Kaylee, and then Nico was another one of my Shiba Inus, and then of course the three we have now. We've got Tessa, and we have Adelaide, and we have Opus. So those are the ones that are still around, but we do not ever forget, nor do we ever replace our babies. So remembering each and every one of yours that are up there at in the Rainbow Bridge heaven. And speaking of that, Dr. Dawnetta Woodruff, she is with Pets at Rest, and I met her. This woman is an angel on earth. The services that they provide, I'm going to talk about coming up on September 19th. She's going to join my show, and we're going to talk about how difficult it is to make that decision to have them cross over to the Rainbow Bridge. But one of the biggest thing is that we didn't know when we were kids is that when that time comes and you have to make that difficult decision, and they don't just go on their own, that you don't have to hand them over to a veterinarian and then never get a chance to stand by them. The last energy that they feel, the touch that they feel, the breath that you have and the breath that they have, you should be right there by them. I know it might be difficult for you, but think about it. At your end of life, would you want to be in a cold room with people that you don't know? I wish I had been told that back when we had to make that decision with Cookie when we were younger. Didn't know that. Once I did, not only do you want to be right by them, but there's a way to do it at your home. And this woman, Dr. Dawnetta Woodruff, was chosen to be an angel on earth. Let me tell you what she's done for us. I don't think I'll even be able to get through that interview without crying because I just couldn't believe that this woman was put into my life. And I'm going to introduce you to the services that they provide if you are at that point with one of your animals. Again, Pets at Rest. So she'll be coming up on September 19th. Now, let's talk about what happened yesterday. Last night, in fact, I was so happy to be a part of Baby Freya's fundraiser. It was a trivia night that was held at Shamrocks in St. Peter's, and that place was packed. We introduced you to Michael Bax and Aaron, as well as Baby Freya, and we're talking about Hirschsprung disease and the awareness for that and many things that baby Freya is going through. Freya, if you remember, she's a baby that is fighting for her life, but she just had another surgery, and I spoke with Aaron and Michael last night. They said she is doing incredible after that surgery. I mean, that little girl is going to change the world. I'm telling you right now, she is the greatest fighter. So here's some pictures from last night as we attended that event. That was right before the event kicked off. So it was 7 rounds of trivia, and I know know a lot of you had fun. It was so good to see a lot of the people who watched this show. Marilyn was out there, Kathy Holden Reed, Amy Hughes, Ann Donnelly, and then I met a lot of your friends and family. As I said, it was packed. Shamrocks and St. Peter's, thanks for hosting that last night. Those are pictures of beautiful baby Freya as she continues her fight, and that's the parents, Michael and Aaron. So, right before we wrapped up, we gave a bunch of silent auction items away. My husband, Jim, by the way, was very lucky. He won 4 baskets, gave a couple of them away, and then we have a couple of them. So thank you for everybody who donated, not just beforehand on the link, which I want you to continue to do, the 50-50, the silent auction items, and then anything with foods. I want to thank Shamrocks and St. Peter's for donating what they did. And the drum roll, please. And this was the reaction right after this. $10,000 was raised last night. And here's the parents afterwards.
You know, we didn't see any of this coming. We had no idea. And I didn't really think many people would care or pay attention or listen. I wanted to talk about Freya, but I didn't think there would be this many people that actually cared and would show up for something like this.
Oh, they came out. Look at that. It was packed in there on a Sunday, on a beautiful day. That's what she was saying, that you could have been anywhere. Oh, I got chills. You could have been anywhere. It was a gorgeous evening, and I know we've all been waiting for the heat to break, and she figured people want to be outside. Nope. We want to be there for you, Aaron. And that's Angie Maui, by the way. Angie is the one that put it on, and I tell you what, that woman has her own long story. Do you remember Luke Maui, who was struck and killed? And now, if you go to the St. Louis Zoo, you'll see his name forever honored. We'll be talking to her coming up in September as we get ready right before what would have been his birthday on the 21st. So they're going to be joining me on September 18th. Angie, thank you for being one of the people that I'm talking to every day, which is to get out of your own way and be a part of the community that will heal. She knew she wanted to do something. She had never put a fundraiser or anything. She said she was part of 5Ks, but nothing like that. Angie, you did an incredible job. I've never seen silent auction tickets all be sold out. All of the raffle tickets. They gave away a Bruce Springsteen signed guitar. I mean, come on. It was a beautiful event. And that's just one of many that are going to be held in the coming weeks. October 21st, I want you to mark the calendar. The next one that someone, again, once we announced about baby Freya and her fight, people started coming out of the woodworks, and I love that. So October 21st in Imperial, the Elks Lodge, they're going to be holding one, and I hope that you all get a chance to come to that as well. If you can't, if you're at home and you cannot, you can always donate, and Michelle is posting the link for you right now. So a beautiful weekend. Also, maybe you had a chance to get out and see the Bommarito 500. Congratulations to Scott Dixon. I heard that Scott was the winner. It was a gorgeous one. A lot of times you go to those races and it's just, it's disgustingly hot, but yesterday was not one of them. So I hope you're enjoying this weather. Again, as you're just waking up, thanks for being a part of the show. It's the Real Monica Adams Show, brought to you by our friends at Invita Health and Wellness. We're going to hear from them, and when we come back, in the blue chair, Tessa Greenspan. You might know her name. She was the owner of Sappington Farmers Market for a long, long time. She is the author of this book, From Outhouse to Penthouse. I tell you what, you want to learn about resilience? You want to learn about not letting life say you can't do something? You want to learn about people in a family where one goes this way and one goes that way, and you say, well, I don't know how you could rise above. It's all your choice. She has such an amazing story to tell you. Tessa Greenspan in the blue chair when we return. Invita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Invita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Invita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Invita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment, or online invitahealthandwellness.com. Welcome back. It is 7:10, and it is the Real Monica Adams Show. If you're just tuning in, welcome. If this is your first day, well, I love having you as part of our community. A community that is giving back to the world. A community that is saying, I hear bad news, but what can I do about it? Not just accept it, move on, and act like you're just immune to the negativity. No, we've got to get out of our own way, and we've got to change lives together. Mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's all about the balance and the triangle of life that we've been teaching for a long, long time. And one of the women that knows all about this is my guest, Tessa Greenspan. Not only do you know her from Sappington Farmers Market, look at that beautiful lady, but she is the author of the book From Outhouse to Penthouse. Tessa, thank you so much for coming in.
Well, it's such an honor.
You are a beautiful woman. I have known you for so many years. I was telling you that not only did I used to come into your grocery store, but my brother introduced us at a wine event a long, long time ago. And I said, I know Tessa. Everybody knows Tessa. But if you don't, I want to introduce you to her. So we're going to go through, let's go back before you ever got into being a grocer. We're going to go back to the woman who is your role model still to this day, and that is your mother.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we hope, Tessa, don't we, that more young kids would say the moms and dads are their role models, not athletes and celebrities?
Yes, that would be so good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where it all starts. It starts at home. Your home, let's go to that. Your home life was not the penthouse.
No.
Your book, From Outhouse to Penthouse, and we're going to look through some wonderful pictures. This is your mom and Tessa. So let's go back to your mother, resilience. That's where your resilience started. You want to talk about her story first?
You want me to start at the beginning?
Yes, let's go to the beginning.
All right. When my mother was 14, she went to a picnic and met a cute guy. They walked, and he pulled her in the woods and raped her. He said, if you tell anyone, I will come and kill your family. So she was traumatized. She was 14 years old. And as a result, she was pregnant with me. I was born in this shack with a hard dirt floor, no electricity, no running water, and an outhouse out back. So there's the name.
Well, and let me tell you something, folks. And when I read that, Tessa, I'm going to put my glasses on because I took a ton of notes from this book. And there are so many people that think about going through something traumatic like that. My mom and I have had this discussion. And I said, I don't think I could do it, Mom. I don't think if I was raped that I could go through that. And she has forever said, but honey, that's still a baby. And I'm like, I know, but what it comes from, right? Otherwise, no way. I mean, I would have loved to have been blessed with children, but that was the one and only thing that I've always said, I don't know that I could carry. But oh my gosh, you are literally sitting here in my chair right now,
That's right.
The result of that. So your mother, though, I think, was it her sister that took her and said, well, here, you could have an abortion, and she said, I want to have this baby.
It was her stepmother.
Her stepmother, okay.
That. Yes.
Okay. And she said, no, I want to have this child.
This was a woman who had no one to turn to, nothing, no one, and she refused. And I am blessed because most children of rape resent the children, and they don't want to, but they resent them. But my mother somehow loved me unconditionally all of my life. We were so close. And she was such an amazing role model and had wisdom far beyond anything that she could have learned in school or from people.
And, I mean, she must have been an old soul because you're talking about a 14-year-old.
Yes.
Or by the time you were born, she was 15, right?
Yes.
15. And you think about it. For those of you that have children, look at your house right now because a lot of those kids are getting ready. If they haven't already, you're taking them to school. You're getting ready to take them to school. Look at your 15-year-old and you tell me if they are that grown up to suddenly have their entire world change.
Yes.
And changed in not the easiest way, obviously. I mean,
no, it was very, very hard for her in so many ways. And they found a man for her to marry.
Yes.
And
but that man turned out to be an alcoholic.
He was an alcoholic, and he was mentally abusive. She had another little girl by him. And so she had 2 kids, and he drank all of the money. And so she would have to pick cotton, pull these 50-pound sacks of cotton while her sister watched my sister and I, just to put food on the table. So how this woman survived and thrived and never felt sorry for herself is really amazing.
It is, and one of the reasons there's so many reasons why I wanted to bring Tessa on this morning, but I want you to think about your own life. And whenever there's a guest in the chair, I want you to see yourself and whatever you're going through and realize there's hope.
Yes.
One of the things that's a message all throughout this, Tessa, is that you talk about what I have right here, which is to know your value.
Know your value,
right?
yes.
Know how worthy you are. Know that you're important. And she I mean, not only was it hard for her to go on after the rape, after living in a home with a dirt floor, no electricity, no running water, having life just throw her curve after curve after curve and bounce back, but not turn to some type of an addiction.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, her soothing, she soothed herself. She sang gospel songs all day.
Ah, beautiful.
And so that soothed her, I feel. So I would like to tell you, though, something that's so important. And I like everybody to think that there's a time that something happened and you're going to do this or you're never going to do this. When a person that I thought was my father came in at Christmas time in his army, he was drafted in the army, in his army uniform. He brought a doll and a pearl necklace for my sister, which was his daughter, and nothing for me. It was like I didn't exist. And I went into the kitchen and my aunt said, "Honey, don't you worry. That's not your daddy anyway."
Yep.
Well, how do you process this when you're 4.5 years old? But it was that moment that changed my whole life. I decided that I'm going to be an overachiever. Nobody could ever ignore me. I'm going to be so cute, so smart that no one is ever going to ignore me again. And that really helped me, though, to become an overachiever. I accomplished a tremendous amount because I was not going to let anything or anyone ever stop me.
I mean, come on, hear that over and over and over again. How powerful at such a young age for you to get that message, and for that matter, Tessa, to even remember that moment. You could have blocked it out.
Like
a lot
it
of
was
people,
yesterday.
Like it was yesterday.
Yes.
Yes, that was the part of the book that I have in my notes where you were like, "Well, wait a minute, what about me? Here I am. Hello,
Yes.
why don't I get
what
anything?"
About me?
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that's not your dad. If you're just tuning in, let me reintroduce my guest, Tessa Greenspan, Sappington Farmers Market for so many years, and then author of the book. Not just the book, but #1 bestseller internationally, From Outhouse to Penthouse, Life Lessons on Love and Laughter and Leadership. And we're talking about the beginning years. So not only was she dealt that horrible card of being raped, but then deciding to have this beautiful woman right here. That's not her only hardship. Let's talk about her accident and what happened from there.
Yes. When she was 20, she was coming to get my sister and I in Arkansas. We were at our grandparents'. Her co-worker was driving very, very fast. They hit a concrete abutment at a bridge, and she was crushed from her waist down. They had to cut her out of the car, and they didn't think she was going to make it. She was crushed from her waist down. Nearly every bone in her legs and her body was broken, her pelvis. She was in the hospital for 13 months.
And you only saw her one time.
One time in that. So we were at our grandparents', which didn't really want us, but the point of it is there was no other place or no one else. And after 12 months, and we saw her one, and her legs were up, they in cast, and they had to lay them on a strap, raising them up for some reason, I don't know. But a psychiatrist came in to tell her, prepare her. Gangrene set in her left leg, and they had to amputate below the knee. Now, she was 20 years old, and she said, "Do what you have to do. I have to get out of here. I have 2 little girls to raise."
I love this woman. I wish she was still alive. I would love to sit down with her and say, "Boy, I want to learn from you. I just want to learn so much from you, and I want you to teach other people." I mean, think about that. And not once did she ever complain.
No, this is what it is. She got out of the hospital. She had 2 kids, 1 leg, and no money. We were on welfare, and we lived in the Gompers in East St. Louis, Illinois, Section 8 housing. And it was really hard.
Sure.
The thing of it is, we only had a bed that we sat on. We had no table, no chairs. We had a ice box and that you had to get ice for.
Imagine that. Kids, you know what that means? No. What a different world, right? What a completely different world none of you will ever understand.
That is so true.
I mean, all of us, we are afforded so many luxuries in life that we take for granted right now, right in the heat wave we just had. Oh my gosh, I don't have air conditioning. Air conditioning? She didn't have any running water. She didn't have a floor. She didn't have electricity. I mean, come on. You don't get that. So what made her go from Arkansas to East St. Louis?
Well, her sisters lived there, and it was nice at that time. And so we were, as I said, on welfare, but she didn't want to be on welfare.
Sure.
She found a government program to teach people with disabilities another occupation because she was a waitress before. So she only had one leg and you can't stand.
No, that doesn't work very well.
She went to school on a bus on crutches for over a year learning to be a secretary in office. And we were able to get off of welfare.
She wanted to provide you every luxury, every aspect of anything
Not
you
luxury,
wanted.
everything that was needed. Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I say luxury. Luxury is just living, right?
Being able to eat.
Yes, being able to have a floor, being able to have electricity, finding your way out of that, and that resilience. We're trying to get across to you the message of hope for yourself, the message of a bond of a daughter and a mother, and to understand that that's truly where hopefully that role model comes from. But as we know, there are a lot of people in this world that don't see their children as blessings. They just push them away, push them aside. And you have so many of us that sit there and say, we would give anything to have a child that we could nurture and to raise and to do what your mother has done for you.
Yes.
Because that's where it all came from. But let's say this. You talked about your sister, and we're going to jump way forward in the book, and then I'll come back. You both were from the same family. You were talking about the same circumstances.
Same mother,
the same mother, no genetic change in this. And this is what I see in a lot of people. So this is a really important message for you to hear right now. You're in the same family. You had the same circumstances. If there was alcoholism, if there was verbal abuse, if there were hardships, it's all in here and here. What do you want to do with it? Well, Tessa, you decided to grab the reins and just run and go and say, I'm doing whatever I want to do. But that wasn't the case with your sister.
No. And my mother always said, you can be a victim or a victor. You have a choice. My sister, mine was, I'm going to find a way no matter what. And I did. And my sister was, poor me, I didn't have the results. And this is really a great lesson in life, too. It's really how you look at something. It really is. She became an alcoholic. She had 2 children. And then she became a drug addict. And she eventually died of an overdose.
And her children were affected by it as well.
Yes, she had children. She had 2 children, and they had children. And both of her children became alcoholics. The son eventually cleaned up. The daughter was an alcoholic and a heroin addict for many years, and she eventually got cleaned up and was on methadone for the last 8 to 10 years of her life.
And so there you go. Same family, same circumstances, different choices in the mind.
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
By the grace of God, I can tell you, I really don't know. I think the incident when I was 4.5 is really what formed me, determination that nothing was going to stop me. I was going to make it and succeed massively in life.
And don't think this, folks. We're going to take a break, and you're going to think about this. So decisions were made. You think that she suddenly just said, nothing's going to bother me anymore. I've got this life, and it's all puppies and rainbows and butterflies, and nothing ever happened to her? Well, that's not the case. Wait till we tell you what happened to Tessa and how she overcame and overcame and overcame. More with Tessa Greenspan when we return.
It's the icing on the cake.
The final brush stroke.
The finishing touches make all the difference in your home, too.
Have fun and get started at carolhouse.com/room planner.
With thousands of accessories in our 3.5-acre showrooms.
Get your picture perfect room and the lowest prices in the country at Carol House.
Because you like nice things.
You know, of course, it's great to get outside and enjoy the warm weather, but when it's time to relax indoors, be sure your home stays cool with equipment and service from my friends at Aldon. 24-hour emergency service available. At Aldon, it's their commitment to continue providing above and beyond HVAC service for all of their customers. They truly care about the air you breathe. Call them today at 314-567-5585 or on the web, aldon.com. That's al-don.com. 314-567-5585.
Welcome back. It is 7:25, and you're tuned in to the Real Monica Adams Show. Thank you so much for being a part. If you're just tuned in, that's okay. You can go back and watch the first 25 minutes of the show after this. Go ahead and stick with us live. We're talking about resilience and overcoming and failure not being an option. Tessa Greenspan is my guest. You remember Tessa from Sappington Farmers Market? But now the author of the book From Outhouse to Penthouse, an international bestseller. So let's look at some of the comments. Someone said, thank you so much for sharing your story, Tessa. We appreciate it. And good morning to you. Many of you, if you have any questions or comments, or maybe you were one of the customers of Tessa's over the years, bring back some memories. Tell her what you loved about the store. So how did you get in? Let's talk about that. How did you get into grocery?
Well, first, I had a fruit stand.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is a great story for many reasons. One is my husband and I had a store, and we serviced a lot of peddlers. We had a huge cooler in the back. And I was looking for a way to help my mother and my sister at the time. And I was looking for a way to make extra money so I didn't take away from my family. And I saw these men were making a lot of money. And I said, I can do that.
I love your attitude. Why not?
Yes. So, and there were no women who had a fruit stand, actually, at that time in life. And I bought a big bread truck. I rented an empty lot at 111 and 162 in Pontoon Beach, Illinois, a gravel lot at a four-way stop. I had a big A-frame sign, and I was in business. Now, there was one problem. I couldn't drive a stick shift.
I love the story of you saying, well, but I want to do this. And this is that whole thing of being able to overcome whatever obstacle is thrown in your way. You're like, I'm going to do this. So Stanley, who, by the way, was her husband,
yes.
And he teaches you, it takes about a week, or you say a week or two.
To drive a stick shift, a big truck.
In 270 and Olive?
Yes, it
was
a
venture parking lot?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So I learned, and I was in business. So every morning I would go and pick up the produce, and I had milk crates with plywood that I had displayed the fruit. And I built an amazing, amazing business. I did it for 5 years, and I made far more money than I could have ever made in any other.
Well, I love even before that, you talk in the book about being this long, skinny, tall, blonde, and kind of the cut off jeans.
Yes,
and
a straw hat.
Straw hat, yeah, definitely looking the part of the farmer. And a lot of people thought that you actually grew your own produce.
Yes, they did.
Because it was so fresh.
Yes.
And different from everybody else's stand.
That's right.
Why was it so fresh?
Well, my husband was a produce buyer, first of all, and we had a store. And so he was the buyer, and I would go and pick it up. So that was really a blessing, to tell you the truth.
Yes, everything that he knew, everything that you knew, what a perfect blend you were.
Yes, it was.
But before you meet Stanley, I want this story, because when I told you going into the break that she's overcome obstacles and obstacles, if you missed the very beginning of it, we talked about how her mother, first of all, was raped at the age of 14. She had Tessa. She decided to have this beautiful woman at the age of 15. Then she's in this horrible car accident. She's in the hospital for 13 months. She loses her leg. She just continues to say, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. So obviously Tessa sees all that, and she learns from her, and that is her role model. Then Tessa has the same thing almost done to her. Talk about that story.
Which one?
About where you were almost raped.
Oh, yes. My mother and I had flowers. We sewed flowers on the corner. And so we did separate places. So I was on my way, and I was on a dirt road, and I saw this guy, his motorcycle or motor scooter was leaned over, and he just said, can you drive me? I had a big car. And so I did, and all of a sudden he looked at me. It was the most horrible, horrible look I've ever seen.
You knew something bad was getting ready to happen.
I knew something was. So I stopped the car, I threw the money at him, and I started running, and he caught me, and he just about raped me. That was his intent. And there was someone coming down the road, thank God for that, and he then ran away. It was really traumatic.
Well, not only traumatic at that point, Tessa, but you talk in the book how still to this day you have to sit with your back against the wall, kind of like a police officer does,
yes,
right? They always have to assess the room,
Yes.
and anybody that would be coming up around you. That's PTSD.
Yes, it is.
It's a real thing.
Yes.
But you still overcame that.
Yes.
And then you're in an accident, right? You were in a car accident, weren't you?
No.
Oh, I thought there was another car accident
Well,
that
there
happened.
was when when I was about 15, I think. With some friends,
Yeah.
the car got stuck on a railroad and the train hit the car.
Right.
But we were out of the car.
Oh, but still, that's still traumatic
Yes,
to go
it
through
is.
these
Yes,
things.
it is.
So it's just crazy how life continues to kind of mirror. Fortunately, you're not injured, but you go through this. Okay, so then talk about where you met Stanley.
Stanley, I met at Sorrento's on DeBolivar, and a friend knew him, and so they had a jam session every Saturday afternoon, and so we would go. My girlfriend and I would go and listen to the music, and so she introduced me to him.
And you could tell right away that he was a kind soul, even
He
though
was.
you didn't have the best role models in men around you.
Yes,
Your whole life.
he was, and he adored me, which is really sweet.
And you were together how many years?
55.
55 years. And obviously that's still never enough, right? We
Right.
wish he was here. He was the kind of person that just doted on her and wanted to take care of her, was the protector of her. But I love the story. You have got to tell this story. The story about when, he would give you constructive criticism.
Right.
You knew where I was going with
I
this.
do.
Okay, take it from there then.
This is when I had the fruit stand. So he came and he criticized something. He would stop because he was a produce buyer for many grocery stores. And so he would stop at my stand on the way. And he said something so awful. It made me so mad. I was fuming.
He told you that a friend of his stand looked better than yours.
Yes. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I was still mad when I got home. And then he came home and he had the nerve to go to sleep on the couch.
That's my favorite. He ate dinner and then went to bed while
Yes.
she's mad. And she
Yes.
thought, how dare you? You know I'm mad. Like, you wanted to talk about this.
That's exactly right. So...
And then he gets up the next morning and leaves.
No,
right?
wait, but what happened is I had this huge
I
pot.
thought it was the next morning. Okay, yes.
This huge pot. I filled it with ice and then water. And first I found a place to hide.
It was a good hiding place. He never found her.
Yes. So I dumped the whole ice and water on his head. And then I ran. I dropped it. I hid under my daughter's bed. And the next day, he came by the stand. He was really a good sport because he knew what he had done, actually, why I was mad. And he said, do we have a leak in the roof?
Yeah, exactly. What happened? Something fell on my head. That made me laugh so hard. And I was actually reading that part out loud to my husband. I looked at him and I was like, now, see, I've never done that to you. But you know what? He did come back and apologize and said what
Yes,
I
he
said
did.
wasn't very nice,
Yes,
was it?
yes.
But he was trying to give constructive criticism.
Exactly.
But you weren't ready for that.
That's exactly right.
And you said, and this is another big important part to learn. It's capitalized in the book. She said, you hurt my feelings, which
Yes.
we've taught a lot of. Nobody can do that. We own that.
That's
you talk
true.
a lot in this book about owning your life.
That's exactly right. Absolutely right.
But you're young at that point, and
Yes.
you're frustrated, and you're like, I'm going to dump this ice on you. How long had he been asleep?
Probably an hour or so.
Enough to be truly sleeping and woke up by what he
you
thought was a
imagine
leak.
that?
I think it's hilarious. That's the part that I think is very funny. Okay, so we're talking about the grocery stand. We're talking about the aspect of what Stanley had, and then the two of you get married.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about how you get into actually getting into the actual business, the grocery business itself, and trusting these partners. Oh, what a life lesson that
Yes,
was.
yes.
More with Tessa on that when we return.
Warm weather, sand beaches, and boats galore. It's the Florida. It's a Lake of the Ozarks. Florida Direct Palm Trees brings tropical flair to your patios, docks, and yards. From a few feet all the way to 25 feet, there are palm trees for every property. Florida Direct also provides palm tree potting soil, palm fertilizer, large decorative pots, and a wide selection of locally grown tropical flowers and plants to add the perfect accent to your tropical paradise. Florida Direct Palm Trees, bringing paradise to your patio for 14 plus years.
Welcome back, 7:35. It's the Real Monica Adams Show. We've been visiting with Tessa Greenspan. Once again, her book, it is called From Outhouse to Penthouse. Available, I'm sure, at Amazon and anywhere we can get books, Tessa, right?
Yes, it's on Amazon, yes.
#1 bestseller, and also talking about being turned into a movie.
Yes, the screenplay has been finished, and it will be a movie.
I
Yes.
love this.
Yeah,
That's the thing I
isn't
wanted
it?
to break some breaking news to all of you, that this is going to be turned into a movie, and rightfully so. It's a very easy read. You don't
Yes,
want to
it
put it
is.
down.
Yes.
And you look at it and you think, gosh, she overcame this. Talking about truly living. And one of the notes that I wrote down was, ask yourself what is possible. Truly live. She talks about knowing your purpose and laughter.
Yes.
You and I have done it several
Yes,
times already,
uh-huh.
and it's important, isn't it?
I love life. I am so grateful for so much. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, you very easily could have been your sister. You could have been so
That's
many
exactly
things
right.
of looking at pity me. And she
Yes.
decided not to do that. Okay, so you go from the stand to then deciding to get into business in the actual grocery business, grocery store, and you come across these people who are not strangers. These are people that you knew, that you thought were stand-up gentlemen.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
let's tell that
yes.
story.
Well, my husband sold the store, and he went into the produce buying, and I was looking for something to do, and I wanted to open a store. So I approached a father and son that owned a chain of stores, and I asked them if they would like to partner with me in a store in St. Louis. They lived in Illinois, and they wanted to. And so the son was then, I was really more or less a silent partner. The son really ran the store we had managers. And so we opened the store, and about 3 years later, they wanted a meeting. And I take responsibility, and I would like for everyone to know that we must take responsibility for our behavior and what we do. You know, I was not looking, I was not paying attention, and I would like to say that to everyone too. Pay attention to your business. Don't let anybody run it without you knowing what it is. And so that's really one of the most important things that I can say to anyone, to pay attention.
Right?
So after about 3 or 4 years, they wanted a meeting, and they handed me the keys and said they were declaring bankruptcy.
What goes through your mind at that point, Tessa?
I was shocked. I mean, I wasn't expecting it. Again, I take responsibility, though, for my part, not paying attention. When I got into the books more, I saw that they siphoned money, and it looked easy. They would buy something and pay much more, like 5 times the amount for a certain product, or like a floor cleaner. And I was left, in today's money, with $1 million in debt.
What goes through your mind at that point?
Well, I was traumatized in that too. It was shocking. So this is starting all over again with $1 million in debt. And there's so many stories about that too. So read the book.
Yeah, I don't want to give all that away, but one thing I do want to say is, and I don't know where this came from, except for, and I know you're very faith-based as I am, God gave you a gift when it came to do with the bank.
Yes. Oh, this was really a great story. By the way, my attorney was my idol, was my mentor, was everything. He was so great, and I never did anything from that day on without his help and without his advice. So we owed a lot of money, and $250,000 of it was to the bank. And I went to the bank, and it was really amazing because there were 3 signatures on that banknote. And I don't know how I did it, but I said, you should go after them too. It's one of the things I said.
Absolutely.
And they said, no, we've got you. So I was responsible for that entire debt. And for some reason, and this is, my attorney says it's never been done, that he knows of.
This is God-given, folks.
Yes,
Listen up.
it is. The bank said, well, we will only charge you interest on 1/3 of that interest. So I paid off the non-interest for years. It took me 10 years to pay that amount of money back. And again, by the grace of God and determination and going to make this work no matter what.
Your integrity and your grit to do so, and the fact that you wanted to make sure that everyone was paid off. And you got a lot of nasty phone calls, rightfully, so people wanted their money.
Yes. It's so true.
And you cried a lot.
Yes, I did.
Well, you have to. You've got to, because you're trying to seek something out there, but all the while trying to hold it together in front of customers, etc. But you take this over, they go into bankruptcy. Now you've got this decade of debt. There goes know your value. This decade of debt that you're trying to pay off, and then you do. Not trying to, but she does.
Yes.
Okay, so you have that, but now you have all these customers that are coming in. You take over that store. You have people that are trying to come to the store to support you. They love the store. The parking lot, though, is too small.
Yes.
That you kind of outgrow the parking lot.
Wow, you did read the book.
Oh, I read the book. I do my homework. And you say, I'm going to open a new store.
Yes.
A bigger
a
store.
Second store. Yes. And so my goal, and there's really so many great stories, and we don't have time for that, but my goal was for it to be a family-friendly store. So I designed the store, and the store was 3 times the size of the original store.
Does everybody remember where Sappington Farmers Market is? If not, tell them where it was.
The first one was on Gravois, and the second one was on Watson Road,
and
8400.
So I never had a chance to go to the one on Gravois.
Yes.
But I had a house for 16 years in Afton, so I used to frequent your store for one particular reason. Well, many, many, many reasons, but you know why I came there.
The train.
The train. Everybody
Yes.
loved the train.
They did. It was the best thing. And really, I was creative and didn't know it until after the fact, many years. When I was designing the store, I had a toy train track around the whole store over the shelving. And I had a G gauge, which is the biggest toy train there is. And I had a flat car that every day I would print out the special of the day and put it on this flat car. So you had to go around the entire store, and if you had children, but men loved the store too.
Oh, of course they did.
So everybody would go. So they had to go through every department in that store to follow the train.
Genius.
It was.
You were genius. Well, you learned a lot of resilience in the business world while you were younger and you were doing your stand. You used to write on your chalkboard your special of the day.
Yes.
And you kind of took a card from that for the train, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you learned a lot of, here's the thing I loved about Tessa, and I hope you all, and I tell you what, I mean, launching this brand and launching this show and becoming an entrepreneur like you, I mean, I'm learning from you from this book and saying,
good.
yes, thank you. So now you're a role model to me
Good.
to say, stick up for yourself, but also don't just sit back and think, oh, okay, well, I got the store and I got the train and I'll just let it go. No, she was always on top of her game from a marketing standpoint.
Yes.
I mean, you did some incredible things.
It was brilliant, and I didn't know it. It was just desperation of wanting to make it work.
Well, you did. You also had the best cheese anywhere.
Yes.
And again, there's a lot of places now that do these things, but you really did kind of spearhead it all.
Well,
no one was doing it.
No one was. And I went to Wisconsin because I couldn't compete with the prices with the chain store.
Yeah.
So I went to Wisconsin to a cheesemaker and made a deal with them that I would get 3,000 pounds a month. And I had the girls who did nothing but cut, wrap, and slice. And I was able to, I had 200 kinds of cheeses. I was able to have cheeses 2, 3, 4, $5 a pound less than the chain stores.
Which was amazing. And then you also did, the thing that I also loved is that when you walked in the store, you had a mannequin. Talk about the mannequin.
Do you want to know how I
Yes, I do, because I want you to tell a story about having that covered up and getting into a taxi.
Yes. Well, we went to a lot of produce conventions, and I was always looking for something for the store. And so there was a mannequin in this window, and I said, that is it. I'll put overalls on him, and we'll sit at the front in the store. And so they couldn't ship it because it was too awkward. And so he put a plastic bag over the head. And so I was carrying this mannequin down the Miracle Mile in Chicago. And
Can you guys imagine this? Come on. We're trying to paint the picture here for you. A covered up body.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So we had a cab. We called a cab. And so and the man was from Nigeria or someplace. And I put the body in the trunk. He said, "Is that a body?"
I'm surprised he didn't just take off and go, not being a part of this.
But I dressed him in different things. He was an Easter bunny, Santa Claus. It was so much fun, though. It was so much fun.
Do you miss these days?
I do, because I loved it. I had 80 employees, and I loved I loved inspiring and encouraging, and I had 1,000 customers a day coming through the store, and so it was really a lot of fun. And people would call me Miss Farmer, and even today, people
They
say,
do still?
"Oh, Miss Farmer, yeah, in a bathroom in Sykeston, Missouri."
We just looked at a picture, and rightfully so, Grocer of the Year award. You got many awards. Yes, there.
Yes,
Tessa winning. What year was that? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
No?
It was a long time ago.
You won a lot of awards.
Yes.
And let's talk about this. So there is a person that you mentioned in the book that is a very dear friend of mine and yours, Susan Solovic. I saw her name
Yes.
pop up, and I'm like, Susan. We used to have Susan on a regular basis when I was at Channel 2 for small business.
Yes.
And what an incredible wealth of knowledge that woman is.
Yes, she is.
You learned a lot from her.
I did. She was one of the first persons to develop a Women Presidents Organization here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And I've been a member for more than 20 years of
And still
Women
are,
Presidents. Still
right?
am.
Yeah.
Yes. So she was one of the first persons to bring it in.
There's so many people that you talk about. We go back to the beginning. We said that your role model obviously is your mother, but that's the thing, that you have to get out of your own way. Stop thinking
Yes.
that you know it all. One of the things you do then get offered a good amount of money, and you decide to sell the store after all those years
Yes.
in 2008.
Yes.
And then the people who take over, and this is what I want you to learn from, the people who take over, they have it for 3 years
Yes.
and then file bankruptcy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that broke your heart to think all that hard work I did.
They killed my baby.
Yeah. Well, and why? Why do you think it happened?
Because they changed everything. I mean, one, they didn't want any evidence of me in that store at all. So they changed everything. And they brought in all organic. You can't go, you have to do things in little ways and step by step. So they brought in all organic and thought they knew everything. You have to have a graduation of that.
yeah.
And so they thought they knew so much more than I did. And there was no personality. You know, I feel if you have a business, it really is important for you to be there, for you to know your customers, for you to greet them, for so many different kinds of things.
Absolutely. Well, and that was the thing when you talked earlier about having 80 employees. That's fine. That doesn't mean she sits back, goes on vacation,
That's
she's
right.
sipping Mai Tai somewhere and hopes that you're doing okay. You were there. I remember every time I went in, Tessa, I was like, oh, there's Tessa. You wanted to be a big part of it,
Yes.
but not necessarily, and this is the great thing about a boss and a leader, not behind a desk saying you do, but leading so that all of your employees could watch
That's
you out there.
exactly right.
That's a huge difference.
Yes,
that
it
people
is.
need to learn.
Yes, it
More
is.
people want to work for a leader than a boss.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. And again, all of these things I looked at after the fact and really didn't realize that it was really very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, you were way ahead of the game. So let's talk about the organic side, because a lot of people now, they're trying to get healthier. The organic aspect, someone had actually told you back then, you might want to, do some organic things, but it was so new, but it was expensive, and nobody at that time
It's
really,
the early 2000s.
yes, understood, well, why do I need to eat organic?
Yes.
Why would I want to pay more?
Just the people who were sick wanted it.
Yes.
And so I brought in organic food, and I lost money on it.
Yeah.
And so I started teaching. I went to women's groups and started teaching about the benefits of organic. And by the way, I only eat organic. I am really a health nut. And I speak on the 4 pillars of health and how to live at peak potential all your life, because that's part of it. Your mindset is another part of it, and exercising is another. So it's really...
She's speaking my language.
That's exactly right. And I know that. But, it really is. It really isn't as good if you start when you're 60 or 70 years old to be healthy. It's really important. I have not had sugar in 30 years.
Wow.
I don't eat milk or any milk products at all either. So, and just organic. So it really does make a difference in your life.
Yes. And we're not going to, I think I read in the book that there's only one person or something they said that actually knows your age. What do you say in the book?
It's classified.
It's classified. Yes, it's classified. I've told you all that my mother's 85 and she looks like she's in her 60s. So you won't give out your age.
No, it's classified.
Dang it. I was trying. I tried, folks. But you look incredible no matter what. You can tell that health, but I don't mean just eating well and
That's
exercising, but taking care of her mind.
Yes.
I mean, that's the biggest thing that I think you're going to get in this message of the book is she has taken care of her spirit and her mind.
Yes.
And she has taken care of that aspect and then put the physical and the nutrition side of it. Do you work out still to this day?
Yes, every single morning.
What do you do?
Well, first I meditate. and then I have a readings that I read, and then I journal and write what I'm grateful for, and thank God for this day.
Yep.
That I woke up, which is a
Right?
really good thing. Yes.
Oh, of course it is. It's a
Yes.
blessing.
Yes, it
So
is.
she does all the tools that I teach in my life coaching, and to every one of my clients that I personal train, you hear what I'm telling you. Meditation. Because I always
Yes.
tell them, so this is what I do, and you tell me what you think about this, because I know you're very big into the mental spiritual state. I tell them at the beginning of every day to write a triangle on the top of their paper and to fill in the words mental, physical, spiritual. At the
Yes.
top of the triangle has to be the main thing that you need to focus on as you're waking up that morning. That doesn't
Yes.
mean that the other two aren't as important. They
That's
all
true.
have to be taken care of
That's
in the
true.
day. But let's say that the mental side is really struggling. So you're going to put that up top. And then you're going to write one word when you wake up in the morning besides the triangle.
that's good.
And it's whatever your intention is for the day. So you pick a word. If it's kindness, if it's hope, if it's
That's
peace.
good. I like
so it's one
that.
word. So there's not so much clutter in the mind.
That's true.
Right? So you do your meditation and you're focusing and you have gratitude and or
Yes.
you're grateful, because at the end of the evening I have them write a word of gratitude.
Yes.
And it's
Well,
simply
I
5
do it-
words that we're asking.
Yes, at the end of the day too. Just really, I end the day with that. I don't meditate as much in the end of the day, but then I exercise. I do
Yes.
not, and I would suggest, do not look at your phone. Do not listen. Do
point.
not do anything. I spend an hour or hour and a half every single morning, and then I exercise. Then I walk. Other parts
What's
of
your
the-
exercise that you do?
Well,
do you do
I
different
have
things?
stretches and I have a back lounge that I do, and then I have a vibe machine. So
You're
up there.
busy. You're busy, but you're doing the things that matter in life. And again, she's taking care of her life and doing all the things. For the people, Tessa, that say, gosh, Monica always talks about journaling, and I try to journal, but I can't. I think they think that someone's going to judge what they're writing.
No. Well, then you can burn them and give it up to God. You
Right.
don't
Yep.
have to let anybody see it, for that matter. Yes.
Right. So is it something that really feeds your soul when you
Yes,
write?
it does. Yes, it does. Then I write all the different kinds of things that I'm thankful and grateful for. And sometimes things come to me too. But the meditation part is so important. I do a guided and then I do a silent. So I do 2 different meditations.
In what time frame? Like, are they, how long are they?
Well, one is 15 minutes
Okay.
and another is 10. So it really
Perfect.
doesn't take a long time, but they're really good. And it's a great way to start your day.
I agree.
Yes. And by the way, if anybody wants to comment or do anything, they can email it, Tessa@TessaGreenspan.com.
And we'll post that for you. I know a lot of people were talking about being in your store. Dot said, Tessa, God had a special plan for you. You're amazing. What a role model for determination.
Thank you.
Yes. It was a pleasure to be in your store. So many people said I loved her store. My father-in-law used to shop in your store. And when we moved into the neighborhood, we did too. Loved her tips and her ads.
Yes.
Great memories. Was sad when they closed. Gordon said we loved Tessa. Do you know Gordon Montgomery?
Of course
And Kelly?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
People are just saying today's a good day to have a good day. That's from Aaron. I love Tessa's attitude and philosophy of life, her positive thoughts. Loved Sappington Farmers Market. Good morning and thank you for sharing your story, Tessa. Yes, it's Tessa's story, but it's your story. You know, don't
It's
you agree,
true.
Tessa? We all need, this world can be so horrible. Just like the things that you've talked about that could have just crushed you.
Yes.
But instead you had this resilience and this hope and this want for our world, and you still do to this day. I mean, you aren't here, but I'm sure you all can feel her energy and the kindness that you will continue to pass forward.
Well, it's my mission and passion. And by the way, if anyone wants to follow me, every single day I post 2 or 3 positive messages on Facebook, and love is in the banner. So you can just look me up, Tessa Greenspan. And my website
Yes,
is
please give that.
TessaGreenspan.com.
That's easy enough. TessaGreenspan.com. Please do, because the best way to start your day is with positivity.
Exactly.
And so many things, though, as you know, will try to throw the day off.
Exactly.
You got to go back, though, to that intentional word you
You
talked
have
about.
to make a decision.
Yes.
Yes, it's intention.
So, okay, so you talked about the fact that this is going to turn into a movie.
Yes.
And you're still in the works of that, right?
Yes, the screenplay has been done, and I didn't like what one producer had done, or several, and so I still am looking for a producer that would love the story, that wants to bring it, and so I have the screenplay, and so if anyone knows of anyone that you
Hey,
can
Doc
introduce me.
Krotzer. Doc Krotzer, who we had on our show. I'm going to introduce you to him. I think I told you when I was talking to you on the phone, either Doc or we've got other people that I know that are in the industry that need to grab onto this.
Yes. I mean, it really will inspire and encourage so many people because there are so many things. It's not because it's me. Actually, what my mother went through, determination and resilience is really two of the most important things.
Absolutely. So I have some quotes here before we read our 100 Days to Freedom book. One idea, well executed, can change your life forever. That was from Dr. Tom Hill.
Yes. Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
And you said, I will never stop living and learning. She built her dream home in 2012. Instead of going to Florida, which she and Stanley wanted to, and then Stanley got sick. She lost Stanley in 2017. But you built your dream. You literally went from outhouse to penthouse.
Yes.
You now live in a condo above a hotel.
Yes.
And I asked you if you could have pets, and you're like, well, I can't have pets up there.
Well, it would be really hard. But it's really beautiful. And I had an interior decorator do it, a friend of mine, and it really is beautiful. And I go in, and every day I love it. It's very happy and colorful. And my goal when building it was I want people to come and never want to leave. They love it so much that the energy is so good.
You were featured on the cover of a magazine.
St. Louis Homes and Lifestyle magazine. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I love everything you've done. And when I asked her about animals, you did have a dog. And the story of the dog is in the book where you actually said, I'm going to get that puppy. And this woman really didn't have any money.
Yes.
So you traded?
I traded this little dog for a box of tomatoes and some potatoes.
Tomatoes and potatoes for an incredible dog that you fell in love with that had great energy.
Yes.
It was a mix of what?
Part Maltese and part Terrier.
What was the dog's name?
Patches.
Patches.
Yes.
Yes. I tell you what animals are able to do with us.
He was a free spirit. He was really a free spirit.
He knew that he had to provide something for you, right? Because you were going to provide so much to the world.
Yes.
We're going to end with this. Your path in life and so many others. You said life doesn't owe you anything.
No.
Have a great attitude.
Yes.
Attitude is everything.
Absolutely.
It's all about a choice, and the choice that you made was an incredible journey, and you're never, ever, ever stopping to learn.
Never. Oh, there's so many things I'm doing right now. It's amazing. Actually, I don't have enough time in every day.
I love this woman. You are me. I see myself in you. Why slow down? There's so much to live in life.
And learn.
Yes.
And people to meet. And things to do.
Yeah. Do you still travel?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
My daughter and I, when my husband died, we were on 6 different cruises. And so I've been all over the world. And so I go to Arizona January and February, and then to Florida in March. So I'm going to live life full out.
Amen to you. Amen to you. You are a pleasure. It is my honor to have met you. Again, from Outhouse to Penthouse, wherever you can get your books.
It's on Amazon.
On Amazon. Also, TessaGreenspan.com. So, Tessa, we wrap up every show with a message and a devotional. Okay,
Good.
I'm going to let you choose. So these books are from Stephen Arterburn. It's 100 Days to Freedom. One of them is from depression. One of them is from shame, from fear and anxiety, from overeating, and from anger. Which one would you like me to read from? Anger, overeating, fear and anxiety, shame, or depression?
Probably fear and anxiety is probably most people.
Okay.
Although I can't say it.
Nothing for you.
No.
You feared nothing. You said, I've got this. We're going to talk about fear and anxiety and releasing you from that. 100 Days to Freedom from Stephen Arterburn when we return.
Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com.
And welcome back at 7:59, 100 Days to Freedom from Stephen Arterburn, how we end every show. This one, Tessa picked fear and anxiety. Consolation. Unless the Lord had given me help, I would soon have dwelt in the silence of death. When I said, my foot is slipping, your unfailing love, Lord, supported me. When anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. That's Psalm 94, verses 17 through 19. So when anxiety and fear seem to be an ever-present reality, you can, of course, get weary. Well-meaning loved ones offer quick options to rid you of the constant chatter that drowns out the elusive peace that you seek. And while some solutions are worth exploring, there are others which create more fear of taking the risk to try again and try again. The passage describes so many of our experiences, right? We feel threatened by life or overwhelmed by circumstances. I mean, come on, this one picked us, what Tessa's been talking about. Yet again, read this, where the psalmist cries out to God, when I said, my foot is slipping, your unfailing love, Lord, supported me. It sounds simple, right? Maybe even too simple. Yet this is how we can receive consolation, which in turn brings joy. Even if you've done this many times before, tell the Lord about it. What are you finding challenging? Talk to him. What is overwhelming your mind, your heart? As you release these to the Lord, you will experience his support and his consolation. It may not resolve whatever issue is troubling you, but it will provide you with relief and the clarity needed for your resolution. We don't need to understand everything. God will open our minds and soften our hearts. Charles Spurgeon said, how sweet are the comforts of the Spirit, who can muse upon eternal love, immutable purposes, covenant promises, finished redemption, the risen Savior, his union with his people, the coming glory, and such like themes, without feeling his heart leaping with joy. Barbara Johnson said, we can trust God with all our problems, all our heartaches, and especially with all our long-term anxieties. Every morning as we wake ourselves up with a splash of joy, we can say, whatever, Lord. And Billy Graham said, don't ever hesitate to take to God whatever is on your heart. He already knows it anyway, but he doesn't want you to bear its pain or celebrate its joy alone. So today's prayer, Lord Jesus, I am overwhelmed by, fill in the blank. I trust you to provide strength for me today. Amen. Tessa?
Amen.
Amen to that. And boy, did that have a lot to do with what we discussed today,
Yes.
doesn't it? If you did not get a chance to see this whole interview with this beautiful woman, Tessa Greenspan, I want you to go back and watch it. Again, it is From Outhouse to Penthouse. Get it on Amazon and look for the movie to come out very soon. When the movie comes out, you've got to come back.
Yes, yes.
Promise?
Yes, yes.
Okay, my friend, thank you so much.
This was beautiful.
Well, thank you. What a beautiful book and what a beautiful story and what an incredible human being you are.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have taught. You
and
have
where can they look at it again? Where can they?
So this is on Facebook and on YouTube.
Okay.
Right now we're live, but anybody who didn't get a chance to see it all, they can just go right back and watch it. And then many times we turn these into our audio podcast. So wherever people get their audio podcast platforms, guaranteed this one will make it to that as well. So yes, spread, share, like, follow. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you always know when we drop new shows or you get bonus content, which we have done more recently. We've got another great show for you throughout the next week and into next week. We are actually loaded up like crazy. Tomorrow, do you know the ACA Business Club? Have you ever heard of that? I hadn't either, but I will be speaking for them in Kansas City, actually just outside of Kansas City in Lenexa, Kansas, next month. There's a Velocity conference. And so Whitney Totes will be my guest tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about how she and all of those with the ACA Business Club are changing lives on the business side. I know you'll be very interested in that.
Yes.
So that's tomorrow morning. Everybody tune into that tomorrow. Can't wait to see you as a part of that. We end every show with this comment, Tessa. You can go out and be anything you want to be in the world. But before you be anything, be kind.
Absolutely.
God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in.